episode of 1923 Main Street.
Home of everything to do with travel in style. We are your hosts.
I am Mike Braddock.
And I'm Amelia Braddock. And today, the graphic hoodie style dilemma, or form meets fashion.
Last week, we talked about comfort versus style when we were talking about hoodies. And we got some feedback about going a little bit deeper. And that's what we're doing this week, where form meets fashion. And what we mean by that is this is for all of you who are either fashion style influencers in the travel space, so you go on vacation to do travel outfit images, or just travelers who like to take photos on vacation and you plan what you want to wear in those photos.
Which honestly, who doesn't? You know, who doesn't put at least a little
Ironically,
bit of consideration?
Okay, I was going to say ironically, I do not. But if you're saying a little bit,
I
sure,
do.
I'll put a little bit.
Well, I put in consideration on your behalf.
But then again, I don't feature myself in our feed, so I don't have to worry about it. I am more of a behind the camera, behind the computer kind of individual.
By your own choice.
That's true. You are more in front of the camera type of person.
Again, by your own choice.
Which is great. All right, so let's get into this. Ultimately, we are going to share with you how you know, should you pack it, should you not, when it comes to graphic hoodies or hoodies for your travel photo shoots. Purely about fashion now. We all know vacations are prime time for outfit photos, right?
Of course.
You've got unique surroundings.
Is there a better time?
Yeah, breathtaking views or even theme park views. Whatever kind of vacation you're on, there's something that's different than your own backyard, which can also be good, but they are usually more scenic, more interesting, and something you don't see every day. So great spots for photos. Now, this is where the graphic hoodie you love so much can get a little dicey.
Well, I think there's a lot of different elements when it comes to, per se, graphic hoodies. Like, if you just say a hoodie, you need to be more specific with what's involved in that, because countless different brands have countless different ideas and designs on a hoodie.
Well, let's start with graphic hoodies in particular and talk about, if you haven't considered, these three things that can work against you if you don't think about your photos before you leave, before you pack, definitely.
Well, of course.
I mean, the first and obvious point is they're visually loud, right? They have bold graphics usually. And this, while it's cool and you may want to make a statement walking down the street, they might not go so well with your photo imagery and the rest of your wardrobe. I mean, depending on the energy, we make some skate themed graphics, but that skate park energy or theme park crazy hoodie might not be great on a street in Paris.
Yeah. And see, sometimes that's when you have to take creative photo shots. With my personal favorite, shoot from behind.
That's true. And I love those too, because that's a whole different vibe as well. Anyway, it's almost intriguing. What is on the front of that shirt? But, you want to think about the graphics themselves. So that is one limitation. There are also style limitations in that graphic hoodies generally don't dress up that well,
I would agree with
depending
that.
on what you're doing, right?
I've mentioned the downfall of the graphic hoodie before.
Yeah, you can't, if you're trying to do a nice night out image or something, assuming there's no dress code, you still might not want to wear that hoodie, or even a cultural venue like the Louvre. Would you go into the Louvre with a graphic hoodie
That's
on?
just where you have
Some
to get...
people do.
You have to get really creative with it. You have to... Okay, like tote bags are probably a very touristy thing, but if you have a nice tote bag, if you have an angle where it's covering up the graphics so it's a little bit calmer, that can be nice. I've also, and I personally will do this, I've taken off the hoodie, folded down the hood, and done the thing where you tie the sleeves
or
over top.
Let me work Photoshop magic.
Okay.
You can do wonders with AI removal now.
I definitely don't believe in that all the time, although the new iOS, like the new iPhones, got that in their back pocket. But I just think, got to be creative with it. Like shows when they're hiding people's pregnancy. It's like me when I'm hiding a graphic on my hoodie.
Yes.
That's what I do.
I love that approach.
And yes, the sleeves thing is probably the most Pinterest tourist thing you can think of. But I don't care because it still looks cute.
And then the third dicey thing that hoodies is the overall travel aesthetic, right? So if you're trying to curate coastal chic or something like that, urban minimalist, those types of things, a graphic hoodie, obviously, it's not going to go well with the whole look and feel. So all of those three things, they're potential outfit breakers if you don't plan ahead. And that's what you're getting at, really. So,
well, I love to plan ahead. I think it's an essential part of any activity.
So if you're packing light and you want to build a cohesive Instagram-worthy travel wardrobe, can you actually do those things? Can you pack light and build an Instagram-worthy travel wardrobe? I think you can.
Yes, absolutely. It's called having a capsule wardrobe. However, I stand by, you always should want at least one hoodie.
You want one hoodie, but
and you can wear it on the plane if you're like taking one backpack or one of those fancy travel bags or whatever. You don't have to shove it in your bag if it takes up too much space. But I still recommend having at least one, regardless of the situation.
Agreed. The point here is that a hoodie covered with, memes or logos or brand names might not be the best. It's going to stick out like a sore thumb in most situations, unless you're going for that graffiti edge street look or something. So the point is, think about it in advance. So let's jump right into how to answer the question, should you pack it? Yes or no? We have 3 points for each one. Should you pack it? Yes, if your vacation includes a lot of transit time or unpredictable weather. Would you agree?
Obviously. I've mentioned before, great in the weather. That's one thing. You're probably not taking cutesy aesthetic pictures in horrible weather, so you want to probably be focusing more on comfort when it comes to those times of day.
Number 2, should you pack it? Yes, if you plan to dress casually and prioritize comfort.
Well, that's a no-brainer. You always want.
Well,
that's a
it is
question.
for you. It might not be for everybody.
Oh, sorry. That's a relatively simple question for me personally.
And number 3, should you pack it? Yes, if the graphic or hoodie style matches your personal style or the travel aesthetic you're going through in your photos.
Well, this is where you have to be creative. Pick one that matches. Pick one, or get creative with your poses where you can hide it if it doesn't. I say pack it.
And you often talk about hoodies that are branded, but you call them...
I love a good plain hoodie.
You call them plain hoodies, and I was making the differentiation between a hoodie you buy at Walmart that is plain or a hoodie that you buy where?
You know how many people like Aritzia, Lululemon, Garage, all those types of stores, I'm sure there's more, where they have their logo, but it's stitched in the same color, like stitching as the fabric. Nobody's seeing that.
Those are, though, branded, but they're subtle.
It's a plain hoodie. If you're strolling through, and those are for me personally, are big in the airport scene. I love to go for a nice monochrome sweatsuit situation. It's comfort, it's style-ish. It just looks a little bit nicer if you want to ask me about it. I would say those are plain. Like I have track pants, same thing. Little tiny, technically they're branded.
Technically they're not plain, They're often, if they're stitched, it's thread color matches the hoodie color, right? That sort of thing, like white on white, because you can see it in the embossing of the stitch naturally. Or even if it's printed, they're very low contrast, right? The point is, I like those because they're understated elegance, essentially. The branding is there, but it's not in your face. So those definitely meet number 3. I know for you, they match your travel aesthetic often and your travel style.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, should you pack it? Maybe not if your trip is leaning towards high-end experiences or has more formal elements to it. Maybe not such a great trip for a hoodie after all.
I still say have one. But you definitely don't need to be bringing options.
It's like your pajamas, then. It's your hoodie that's kept to the side and doesn't see much public wear except for transit.
I will never understand people that dress nicely for the whole plane ride. I think that's great, but if you're going on a red eye, if you have to sleep and wearing like jeans and stuff, no thank you. Please wear a hoodie. Change when you get there. Change in the bathroom before the flight lands.
All right, number 2. Should you pack that hoodie? Maybe not if you're working with a minimal packing list and every item has to multitask.
See, this is where I say bring a plain hoodie or a subtle design that you can easily cover.
It could even be a plain hoodie if you're not using it for photo shoots in those cases.
Whatever's comfy.
And finally, should you pack that hoodie? Maybe not if you're aiming for a more curated travel aesthetic.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's very true. If you don't want to stand out, if you're strolling around in a hoodie, you might seem a little bit touristy depending on where you're going.
Exactly.
That's a great point.
You know, it's also not even a bad idea for that point specifically. Let's say you're going to, I don't know, let's just use Paris again as an example. A great thing to do is go online and look at current street photos or people's videos and see what the people are wearing, and you will see locals from tourists. Because, I mean, I lived in France for a while. French people and people around the world, they wear hoodies. But you can see how a local wears clothing versus how a tourist wears clothing, which is always a fun thing to do and a good thing to do, not only for travel safety, but for your style aesthetic for photos.
Exactly. That's something you got to think. You got to think about the diversity and the multitasking of the hoodie, obviously.
All right. And to close it out, our pro tip for you that Amelia has been touching on the whole time is go for a neutral toned hoodie with a subtle graphic.
I love a good neutral toned hoodie because it says, especially if you're multitasking, the color of the hoodie is a big thing because then you can tie it in with a lot of different outfits. You want to make sure it matches whatever color scheme that might be. You know, if you're going for like the linen and the beigey and the navy look, the very classic colors, then don't bring a neon pink hoodie. That's not really going to go with the style you're going for. So you have to plan out your hoodie. If you plan for the hoodie, it can go easier with the multitasking part of your wardrobe.
And that's really the point here. You know, hoodies, they're not heroes, they're not villains. It's really all about considering everything and make sure it plays well with the rest of your suitcase, right? And with the point of your trip or the images you're hoping to capture on that trip, especially if you're an influencer and you want to use those. You know, if you've been doing this for a while, you probably do a lot of this intuitively. But if you're just new to the game, these are the things you want to think about so you're not in Paris going, darn it, I got to buy a hoodie, and then you're spending a whole bunch of euros and you don't have anywhere to put it.
Exactly.
All right, everyone, there you have it. We hope this answers your questions. Follow up to last week's. Always love talking about, I know Amelia does in particular, styling your wardrobe.
It's very tricky. Styling a hoodie is an art. You really think about it. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. There's a lot of things to consider. And it can be very tricky at times.
Yeah, well, the fact that we've been talking about it so much and people are asking questions about it so much proves that point.
I love styling a good hoodie. I think it's classic. You can try and go on a vacation. I can go on a vacation without a single t-shirt, but I'll still have a hoodie.
Yeah.
I've done it before.
Yeah, I know you
have.
have.
I will do it again.
All right, everyone. Thanks as always for listening. Follow along on social media at 1923 Main Street. Visit us at 1923mainstreet.com. We will see you again next week and have a magical day.
Bye-bye.